So I'm about to leave to apply for a new restraining order. I thought I would catch everyone up on the first half of how this even began, because I understand that not everyone means I did something for this man to be obsessed. But I have had multiple messages asking me what I did for him to have this obsession with me. So let's catch everyone up. Okay, so from the beginning, our kids were friends. He lived next door. His kids would come over here, my kid would go over there. He's only ever been in my house twice, once to come and ask his kid something, and the other time he came over with his child and had asked if he could get water out of my sink because his water was off. 2 times he's come into my home out of a couple of years of being my neighbor. I have never once stepped in foot into his house. Not once. I've had maybe 4 conversations with him, and there was always someone around, except for one time, and my cameras did catch it outside on my front lawn. I was asking him about our kids because there was a situation, and he basically blew me off and decided to tell me about the kid down the street. He's 18, 19, however old this kid is down the street, but at that time he was zoned in on that kid. So from the start, last summer, his behavior started to change. He had some things go on. I don't know. I'm not going to bring everyone into this. I'm just going to talk about him. But he did have some life things happening, right? And so at first, I felt bad, and I didn't want to make the situation worse by calling the police and things like that at first. Anyway, back up. He was zoned in on this kid down the street. The kid's 18, 19 years old. Don't get me wrong, there were occasions where the kid was in the wrong. However, then he started saying that the kid was on his roof. Then he said the kid was in his attic. Then he said the kid dug tunnels under his house. Then he said that this kid, the time that I was outside on my car, on my front lawn, I was trying to talk to him about our kids and what was going on with that, and he dismissed that basically, and then pulled out his phone to show me that some email about the kid down the street hacking into his bank accounts and purchasing thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin. In that same conversation, he said that the kid stole his gun. I told him, you need to call the police. He said he didn't have proof that the kid stole his gun. I said, it doesn't matter if your gun's missing, call the police. He didn't. He dismissed anything I had to say. So then I slowly managed my way out of that conversation and came home. Then he started in on us. He called the police on us a couple of times saying that my husband was beating me. My husband had to literally walk the police to the back to show that we were fine, that we were literally sleeping, because it was in the middle of the night. And then he started, there was one night where all of a sudden I heard a really loud noise. And so I look into my backyard from my window in my bedroom, and he is literally ripping his fence boards down. And I could see his eyes. He was looking through the fence, and I've never seen another human being look like this before. It was terrifying. I woke my husband up to call the police. As my husband's on the phone with the police, it shows on my cameras that he comes around and then starts looking over the fence and looking, and he's on my carport again, doing this weird behavior again. So then the police come and they say, well, that's his fence. He can do whatever he wants with it. They warned him after us pushing. After pushing the situation, the police did warn him from trespassing. We got trespassing signs. And then literally the next morning, he walks onto my carport. He walks through my front lawn onto my carport, turns around and goes back. He was supposedly trying to come and get me to tell his now ex-wife that my husband was in fact beating me. But he never did actually knock on the door. He never, nothing. He just walked through the lawn, lit a cigarette. He stops, lights a cigarette, is talking to himself, walks onto my carport, turns right back around and walks back to her car. So because of my security cameras catching that, right? And his behavior and stuff, I started to look back at security footage. And all of this was actually happening a lot more and worse than I thought. I didn't know that I should be looking at every single video that my security cameras catch, but I should have. 2 or 3 nights before my cameras catch me talking to him on my carport, on my front lawn, is the video of him on my carport having his hands in his pants and saying disgusting things to my front door. And I didn't even know. So I show my mom the video of the footage of what he was doing on the carport, and she calls the police and is like, they need to do something. So then that night, when they came, they automatically put him in handcuffs and in the car. And then so I then have to show the police the videos of what we found, the video of him coming onto my carport the next morning after they warned him of trespassing. I showed them all of the footage I had found. They end up arresting him for 2 stalking charges and 1 trespassing. He was in jail. It was Father's Day weekend. He was in jail all weekend. And then he gets a police escort to the house to get his things.